Hello, welcome to TRA Talk Show, everybody. This is episode 2 of The Whistle Between the Lines. And today I just want to take a couple minutes of time and talk about back in the 50s and 60s, the media outlets and how there were 600 of them predominantly back in the day. There was so many diverse opinions back in the day that you could have all different ideologies, all different compilations of information. And then the 50s and 60s came, and these big giants, the Walt Disneys, the Chorus Radios, the Paramount Pluses, the Bell Medias, the Roger Medias, right? There's now 6 predominant news outlets where you get your information, and you know what? They're all saying the same information. They're saying the same stuff. But why they wanted to buy up so many media outlets? Because they wanted to silence opinions, and it started to happen back in the 50s and 60s. Because if you control the media outlets and the information, you control and you can create and craft the narrative. They use these media outlets as influences for their game plan, and it all started media-wise back in the day. It all started in the 50s and 60s when the big conglomerates started buying up all the media. Why is that? Well, you know what? Because they don't want your voice to be heard. They don't want people like me making these videos. They do not want that information to be out. They want to silence your opinion. It's a reason why, the censorship bill here in Canada exists, right? They don't want you sharing sensitive information that you think is true, right? They don't support that. They want to silence your opinion. And it all started back in the 50s and 60s. And, there used to be so many different opinions. There were 600 different radio stations, news outlets, newspapers you could get your information from. Now, there's predominantly only 6 companies that run the whole show. They killed off mass media. There needs to be more. There needs to be a lot more. The broad spectrum of opinions. You should not, cancel someone just because they have a different opinion as you. You should let their freedom of speech come out, right? And that's what they didn't want. That's what they inevitably tried to avoid. And it worked. They bought up the media. They realized if they can control people's influences, they can make them believe whatever they want, right? Whatever they want. So if you control the narrative, you control people's opinions. You may not think that is true. You could be one of the naysayers on that one, but it definitely is true. And if you don't think so, ask yourself, why is there only 6? And do your research. Why they started shutting these down. Why did they start shutting them down? If you don't believe me, do your own research. But I'm just here to provide a perspective. And, there's a lot of information on this, right? They really just, after World War II, there was a lot of whistleblowers, right? And they decided to come out with information. And those people who had a difference of opinion that the public eye didn't meet, or the media's eye, they got bought up and canceled. Right? Why is that? That's the big question. And, we're just here to raise speculations and to understand relative information here. But I am in support of there needs to be more media outlets. Why is there only 6, right? There needs to be more of a conglomeracy, right? I want more corporate media, not less. I want more opinions, not just one based off of 6 different news stations. And they're all controlled by the left. The same side, by the way. The same side. And even Fox News and CBC control the opposition. Global Mail here in Canada, controlled opposition, right? But they all say the same things. They don't, there should be six different opinions, not six opinions basing the same information, saying the same thing, right? You turn it to one, the other one will be saying the same thing. They'll all be saying the same stories. They don't come up with their own feeds. They just listen to what their bosses tell them. They're talking heads. Back in the day, there used to be a lot more people, a lot more media outlets, and we need to become more of that.